What we're going to do now is our take 5. We're going to do these, I'm going to say rapid fire, but they're open-ended questions. I have written you guys' name down, so I have everybody in order so everybody can answer in the order I picked, because I am queen here and you will accept that.
This is why we love Ricky and Dana.
Hey, I gotta live with this.
All right, our first question we'd like to ask everybody is, what turns you on about the theater? What sticks with you? What is your favorite thing? We are going to start with Misa.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I would have to say I grew up doing theater, and like musical theater was my minor in college. So like just being in a theater is usually like, when I'm in there, it feels magical to me, like seeing the performances and like music and like the crew. But now you don't really get to experience that. So like this is like the next best thing, is like being able to connect. Just it's the people, the relationships, I think, that are the most important and magical for me.
I love that. Jamie.
The collaboration for me, it's everybody working together, putting your heads in it, and how do we get this done? And when you're with, like Matthew said, also like when you're with a group of people who all do have each other's backs, it's really nice, and you don't always have that situation. So when you do, it's extra special and very much appreciated.
I love that. Diana.
I absolutely adore the vulnerability that it requires for artists to bring themselves, their own life experiences, and their foibles, and be willing to use those to show the human experience. So for me, that is one of the most special parts of it, is that we get to see how fragile and vibrant simultaneously that we are.
Nice.
John.
I think that the connection between the performers and the audience is my favorite part. And just knowing that whatever you're doing on stage, they're absorbing it, and you can make, 500 people laugh at the same time, and know that that's something that you have the ability to do. It's one of the things that's currently missing in this environment. But when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's tough, because even if you have 500 people watching on YouTube, we try to get some interaction with some little comments here and there, working the audience in. Of course, it's an improv show, so we want to make sure that they feel like they're part of it. But really what it ends up being is we're entertaining each other. We know, we have the knowledge, all of the performers have the knowledge that there's an audience out there, but at the moment, we're not doing it for the audience. We're doing it for each other. And it makes me realize, anybody who's been doing improv for a while, there's a show or two where there's been more people on stage than in the audience. So, sometimes you got to do it for each other, and you do it for the love of the game. So, that's what I do.
Great.
David.
The thing I love about the theater is the unexpected. Theater is if you're doing a 6-week play, you might do 4 shows a weekend, but every single one is different, and there's always unexpected things based on, maybe someone delivers a line different way, or the audience reacts a different way, and it's the constant play on that. You see a film, nothing that you see on the screen was unexpected at all. It was all intensely planned, and that's literally the opposite of theater. It's in being in the moment. It's the difference between shooting a bullet and throwing it, really. So yeah, the unexpected.
Love that. Miles?
My favorite thing about theater?
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of twofold, but I'll make them short. My mission statement in life is to inspire, and theater really allows me to do that, either with like what Matthew was saying, where we're showing people how to do things and then they can build it, but also just telling stories can inspire someone to be better than who they are at this point in time. And then as a performer myself, though, I would say that my favorite thing about theater is taking off my problems, taking away my problems, and then taking on someone else's problems. It's very therapeutic and very it's inspiring to me. I'm inspired by that person's problems now. So it's like, I'll stop.
Matt.
Kind of, again, echoing, picking up from a lot of great things that were just said. I love the creative, collaborative community and alliteration, it seems, of live theater. There's an energy that unlike any. I mean, I can come into rehearsal after a long COVID day and be like, oh my God. I get into the room with these guys and we're running around. I get out of it so charged. There is an energy because we're creating together, we're bouncing ideas, we're all growing here. And it's wonderful, especially I think it's really important during this pandemic, that we have this as an outlet. We're all in our homes, seeing a very limited number of people. And we're able to work with each other. And then it's been really nice finally performing this. Like we were having a great time just on ourselves. And like John said, we reached a point where like, well, we should get this out there. And that's been like the next phase. Like it's been really cool to kind of get the feedback and connecting. I think especially now has just been a real godsend with theater and in particular this Tilted Frame project.
Love it. Okay, second question. What turns you off about the theater? What isn't your bag? You just don't like it. You wish people would do something different or whatever. Don't let me influence the answer. And we're going to go in reverse. So Matt, you're first this time.
What I don't look, well, I actually took a break from theater a long time ago. And the reason I did is I did not, and I guess it would probably hold true now, I did not like the clickiness. I did not like that within theater, there are gatekeepers who kind of decide what's good and bad and what goes through it and what is up or not. I didn't like the cliques of actors. Like I was always a techie as well as being an actor. And I didn't like that, the actors all hung out and the techies hung out and there was kind of this us and them. I'm all about collaborating and working together. And Tilted Frame really expresses that. It's as much tech as actors. We are coming together literally to make this show. So theater will always have that. There'll be the clique and there'll be the cool kids and people kind of looking down. But that I try, at least in the company, the shows I produce and work on, is to everybody is on the same page. We're all working together. There's no one better than the others. And I think that's really important to have a safe place to explore creativity.
Miles?
I'm going to use Matt's word. I'm going to echo what he said because I was going to say the game. I can't stand the game of the industry. But I'll then in turn kind of say transfer to more of the idea that people who aren't in our industry don't understand that. Like my parents, our parents, all of our parents, whoever, like nobody gets it unless you've been in LA or you've been in theater, you've been in film for longer than 3 years, Yeah.
David.
Yeah. I guess the thing that I don't like about theater is kind of speaking towards what Miles was just saying is that there's a stigma that it's not as big as film and TV or whatever, someone could be doing 3 months of playing Hamlet and people in Iowa won't care. But if you play a cashier on Criminal Minds, they're like, oh my God, I saw you on TV. That's the biggest thing in the world. And you're like, but that's nothing, so that's it's the stigma that film and TV is legitimate, but theater is not somehow to a lot of people that don't work in theater, I guess, is the people. That's my gripe.
Yeah, I understand that. John.
I mean, the thing that I think is the toughest, it crosses between any creative effort that you're making. I mean, first of all, just the general sense in society that creativity is only done for, I mean, yes, it's a release. It's something that we do for fun. We enjoy it. But somehow that it seems that the attitude is that it's lesser than a lot of other things. No, it seems like nobody's, mom or dad is excited. Oh, you decided to become an actor. That usually they will be saying something along the lines of, oh, you're going to be starving. And why is that? Why is it that actors are starving? Why is it that people in the creative arts are starving? Why is it that we have to fight so hard to get any sort of respect for what we're doing? I'll tell you what, I mean, I did one of the other gigs that I do is performing on stage for an Oktoberfest show here in Los Angeles. And I get on the stage and there's 1,000 people in the audience that I have to entertain as my character Festmeister Hansa in German. Yeah. So I do this whole thing. And I remember the people at the company that I was working for at one point in time, they were talking about some of the other stage performers that I had. And they said to me, well, you know, why do we have to, literally they said, why do we have to pay them? Why do we have to pay them to do this? Why don't we just give them, you know, free beer and a meal? And I said, because what they're doing is a skill. It's this very specific skill. They take their job seriously. The thing that they don't understand, and what a lot of people on the other side of our reality don't understand, is we make it look easy because we are good. We are good at what we do. We make it look natural. We make it look fun because we put the work in advance within our team, within the technical elements, with all these things to make you have a good time, because you're not going to enjoy watching us sweat. But I'll tell you what, if I give you the microphone and tell you to get on stage and entertain 1,000 people, you will not do it. That's why people like us deserve to get a little respect. It takes a lot of guts to get out there, throw caution to the wind, allow yourself to be completely vulnerable and jump in. People say, oh, it's so easy for you now. And it's like, well, yeah, it's gotten easier getting on stage every time we get on stage, and anybody who's done a lot of acting has done that and understands that, but it's still jumping into cold water every time. And there's still a moment where you hold your breath and you got to do it. And there's still something in you that says, we're not going to be good enough you're not good enough. You're not going to be, you know, performing well enough. You're not accepted. All of these things, all the self-doubt that anybody has in the real world, we have to deal with that every single time we go on stage. I wish there was a little bit more respect for that, so that we didn't have to deal with those feelings of not having support. That's me.
Diana, and yes to everything you just said.
Yes, I want to applaud everything that my collaborators have already said. I think this is what they're and everything they've said is thoroughly valid. Something that really struck me is sometimes people will find actors to be, because we act for a living, because we make things up for a living, that we are inauthentic. It's like, oh, well, how do I know you're not just acting right now? In order to accurately, let's say in scripted theater, to accurately recreate life, we have to feel it. We have to be in that place. And we do the same with improv. The difference with improv is we don't know what we're going to say yet. We're making it up as we go along. However, that has to come from a place of authenticity for the human experience. So the next time you interact with an actor, don't wonder if they're being truthful with you. Just enjoy the fact that they're a human being that is allowing themselves to show all of the emotions that maybe you aren't ready to face. And maybe through actors, you will get to see yourself and you will feel seen and heard. Thank you.
Love that. Jamie, and I love that so much. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Yeah, every single thing that's been said has resonated so hard. So all of that, I would say, yeah, there's two ways to look at it. It's what's my pet peeve about theater itself, and then what's my pet peeve about how theater is viewed from non-theater. I think we've gone both directions so far, and they're all so valid.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like being in the theater, the thing that bothers me the most would be the same, like the gatekeeper, the game of it, the sometimes narcissism, the like having, you know, people with the power who feel like, you know, they have control over your future or what you're doing, and the power struggles that can take place in a toxic theater. So very lucky that we don't have that. That's why I said earlier, it's not always like this. What we have here feels very egalitarian, which is wonderful and beautiful, and everything should be that way. But I've certainly in my life had many experiences that were extremely toxic. Sometimes maybe not towards me necessarily, sometimes towards other people, but you see it, sometimes abusive, sometimes like you see all these power struggles take place that can really hurt people who are, you know, who are artists, who are the people who are ready to be vulnerable. So I think it's that part of the world where it's like, you have to be completely vulnerable all the time and have an exterior of steel to deal with that part of it at the same time, which is a really big ask of a human brain. So I wish all things were more like this group.
I love that. Misa, you're last for this question.
I totally agree with everything that has been said so far, 100%. I would say one thing that I don't like, and it doesn't pertain to theater in itself, it's probably life in general, where it's more just, you know, where it doesn't matter if you've studied anywhere special or if you've gotten your master's degree in theater or anything. It's more about your connections and who you know, and sometimes it's like people get places that they don't necessarily deserve, and you know, as far as like it sucks to see that happen, and especially if you worked with anyone that's like has a big ego or feels like, oh, I deserve to be here, and it's because they know somebody's aunt who's the casting director for that show or something. So I feel like that is very discouraging, but I mean, that's not just related to theater. It's all facts of life, where it's, you know, connections over actual talent and value at times.
Yeah, we feel that so much. As part of the reason why we started reviewing.
Hey guys, if you like what we just did, there's going to be plenty more coming up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Our Venmo is in the description. Please support us if you can. Our cats need the money.